here, and I'm talking to you now about dividing fractions. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the logic behind dividing fractions because it's a little bit kooky. But if you think to yourself, if you had 3 apples and you divided each apple into 4 pieces, and the question was, how many apple quarters are there in 3 apples? You could write it like this, 3 divided by 4. 3 divided by 1/4. But the thing is, how do we work that out? If we know our logic tells us there are 4 quarters per apple, and there are 3 apples. So the way you actually are going to work that out is you're going to flip that over. You're going to invert or flip over the fraction you're dividing by so that it looks like this. 3/1 times 4/1 equals 12/1, or 12. That's answering that question. There are 12 quarters in 3 apples. Okay? That's how it works. So let's look at the steps for dividing. First step, just like in multiplication, change any whole or mixed number fractions into improper fractions. So you've just got a plain old fraction to work with. Then invert. Invert is a fancy way of saying flip upside down. But you're only inverting the fraction you are dividing by. Only that one. Not the other one, just that one. So, for example, 3/4 divided by 1/2, you're going to change that, invert just the 1/2. So you're going to invert that so that it's 2/1 instead of 1/2. Then you have 3/4 times 2/1. Okay, so let's work that one out. 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4. So you have 6/4, which you can make as 1 2/4, or 1 1/2. So half of 3/4, 3/4 divided by 1/2 is 1 1/2. Okay, now this is where your brain's probably going, I don't understand this because how is it larger? It's larger, if we go back to our apple example, it's larger because when you divide an apple into more pieces, there are more pieces. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's why there's a larger number. And that's why I was going through the apple example with you. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've got step 1, change it into an improper fraction. Step 2, inverting the fraction that we're dividing by only. Step 3, cancel out factors. Now, if that doesn't make any sense to you, I showed you in the multiplication video, and we'll do some demonstrations. Cancel out factors is the shortcut. I'll show you in a minute. Then you're going to multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Notice I said multiply. Once you invert, you're just going to multiply them both. So once you've done the inversion, it's really just like a multiplication problem. Then you simplify or reduce as you need to, and you're done. So let's look at a couple of examples. Here we go. This first one, 9 divided by 3/8. Okay, so first we need to change our 9 to 9/1 divided by 3/8. Now, we're going to invert the fraction we're dividing by. So that's 3/8. So we're actually going to invert that, so that's 8/3. Okay, now, we turn that into a multiplication problem by doing that. Now we can cancel out any factors. Okay, now remember, it's got to be between a numerator and a denominator, but they don't have to be from the same fraction when you're multiplying. Okay, that's our shortcut. So we know that 3 goes into 9 3 times, so let's make that 3 and that a 1. Then we have 3 times 8, that's 24. 1 times 1 is 1. So 9 divided by 3/8 is 24. There we go. Okay, let's try one more. This is a little bit of a trickier example. Or it looks trickier anyway. Okay, 16/7 divided by 20/49. Okay, now remember step 1, we don't need to change any whole numbers or mixed numerals into fractions. They're both already fractions, that's done. Step 2, invert the fraction we're dividing by. So in this case, it's this fraction. So let's rewrite it. Let's say 16/7 times 49/20, which is an inversion. See how I flipped it? I flipped it to that. Okay, now the next step is where we can cancel any factors. This is where we're looking for any numerators and denominators of the same factor, and I see some here. So have a look. 7 obviously goes into 49 7 times, so we can make that a 1 and make that a 7. 16 and 20 both have a common factor of 4, so we can reduce them. So let's make 16 4 and 20 5. That's pretty cool. Now we're going to multiply our numerators. 4 times 7 is 28. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, we can actually simplify that because 5 goes into 28 5 times with the remainder of 3. Remember, we put that 3 right back on top of that fraction, so we end up with 5 and 3/5. There's our answer. Good. Okay, so that's all it takes to divide. Just remember, invert, and then it's like a multiplication problem. Okay, good luck with your dividing fractions. See you next time.